This is Julie, and I was on here a while ago asking about Suboxone and Kratom. Now this is the situation I'm in. I have wicked bad leg problems like Charlie horses and other things going on. Now, I tried to use Kratom a year ago and mixed and matched it with Suboxone and it just didn't work out. And I tried to explain that on a couple of my videos, and they got wishy-washy and they weren't very good. And I was kind of thinking that they would come out a certain way, and they didn't, like any way you experience, and like anything out of ignorance or naiveness, which with me it was just naiveness, was to try to find if I could actually take Suboxone and have it work with the Kratom, even if I took less. Now, I kind of have to go that route again because I have really bad severe problems with my leg, and I'm going to be needing surgery, but at the same time, I'm not getting anything for it. They gave me some pills and they don't hit for another week or two, and meanwhile I'm up at night and I don't really feel like, I should be having pain and suffering. And so what I just did was went out and treated myself, which I usually have here, to the Red Magnet Kratom by Earth Kratom. Now, I know they say don't get stuff from headshots. Literally, they tell you don't get it from headshots. But sadly, I couldn't have the patience to wait for any of the shit to arrive, and I have problems with my nails, so I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna make a video. I already took these like 2-3 hours ago. I'm not really feeling that much of a extraordinary relief. But remember, all this week, every day this past couple of years, I've taken anywhere from 2 to maybe 6 milligrams of Suboxone still, even though I can take up to 16, but I want to get down, I want to take the lowest I can. I decided to stick around with Suboxone only because it still can help a stomach issue I have. And even though I've heard other medications being similar to Suboxone helping with stomach issues, which is ironic, I haven't looked into it enough, and believe it or not, my gastrologist hasn't mentioned it to me, which I think he would have if I had asked him about it, but that was like a few years ago, and that's what time I heard from it, and that doesn't seem to be something that I've heard any more about. But nevertheless, I know there's something like a new medication out for those that suffer with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and that's what got me into taking hydrocodone and having it work for my stomach. And then, unfortunately, like anyone, you grew a dependency to it, and then next thing you know, I go to tell my story and I get it wrong, and they blew it up like I had this horrendous heart problem, and it got really bad. Set aside that for right now, and we're back to now having leg issues, which I've had a lot of leg issues, especially with pregnancies. You get that sciatica type nerve thing, and so what I'm holding this up is I'm really hoping this stuff will work. But like I said, I took this about, it'll take a few hours ago, before about 4 o'clock I think, and it's now not quite 7. So 2 hours ago, and it's not quite hitting, and I took 5 of them all at once, and I took it with a little bit of coffee, and then I swung it down with some lemonade, like they usually suggest. They say it helps with the alkaloids and the chemistry of it and all. Now again, I also decided to do something else, because my mood has been ugly because of my leg. I decided to treat myself with the new, what they look like it's happy pills, as I would call them. And I, for some reason, decided to drop everything with it online, and it's hard to keep my camera up, so I don't want to put it on pause because I'll drop it, because I look like a fool right now trying to do this. But I was suggested to try to help with anxiety, something that was like a benzo, and they said it was called peanut butter. And then I started hearing not so good things about peanut butter. So I decided to go and get something close to peanut butter, which was these. And they're called Red Dawn Spark 4D Happy Caps. And I was actually going to try one. Obviously, I'm not going to go on the internet and do it. I've done that before too. And I decided no longer to do that. But I will show you what they look like along with the packaging. And again, forgive me with the mouth. They almost look like a green Advil. Nope. They're like a Kelly, well, pine tree green. And I guess there's only $3 to $10. That doesn't sound like a good deal to me, but nevertheless, I decided to get them just because I know if you get like a Xanax or whatever, and if you want to buy it black market, anybody these days are selling things so badly, and it's anywhere from $4 to $12 for a quantigram to a Xanax, and the milligrams, 0.25 all the way up to 2 milligrams. And people are getting that price for it, and I don't want to go on the streets and buy drugs like that. That's just not my style. Especially when I see all these different people get braided, I just don't get mixed up in this, and I don't even know if I really want to even get mixed up with buying stuff. Like my guy said, I hate going to head shops. I feel like I'm doing something bad. Even though he knows I'm in pain, and he came in with me and he wanted to make sure that I bought what I needed and stuff, and to see what it really is about, which is nice when someone is on your side to be open about stuff rather than closed-minded, because closed-minded people are so arrogant to me, because it's like, I don't agree with a lot of things, but you're still gonna hear that other person's party, because in all fairness, if you want someone to listen to you, you gotta listen to them. So I was gonna try this, see if this doesn't work, and I'm also gonna go on the internet and see what other people said about this themselves, hoping it does something. Along with, if this stuff doesn't work, I will go and take a few more of these and try them. This 65 capsules. It was $55 for both this and this. It came to about less than about $55 or so with tax and stuff. I think about $56, $57. I would tell people if they could, you're probably better off going online and looking up more things for yourself and doing the research behind it, as I've seen other people say, different things work for them differently. I just asked a guy, even though I went online and was ready to buy something else, I said, what works with pain? What's getting bought a lot in the store? Can you be honest with me? All these products, and they had hundreds of different brands. They didn't before, but they're really, from a year ago, even 2 years ago, when I first heard about Kratom back in the fall of 16, they have now since really, they got a small store, but where it was empty or not full, is now filled with more Kratom brands, and they all come from the, Asian countries, and they all got their red vein, yellow vein, white vein, and they all got their, Magda and Bali and White Indio, and all the different names and the different vein colors, and then with the different places they come from, like Malaysia. So you've got to count all those into how they name it, and then you get the different name brands. So there's 4 categories: who puts it out, what country it comes from, what vein is it, and what type of kratom is it called, the name in itself, and what it's more for, like energy or for more pain, because they kind of categorize it. So there's 4, almost 5 categories. So now that I've said this all, I'm going to put this on pause. I am going to stop it. I am going to pray that this kind of helps me at least a little bit, because I know I still have a Suboxone running into me, and hopefully I'm going to stop my Suboxone. And I know it might be a little more difficult, but luckily I've already been down to 4 to 2 milligrams the last few days, and knowing I was going to get this eventually this coming week, and take it from there. And maybe I can help somebody that is also on Suboxone. on a lower dose. Again, I'm not taking 8 milligrams, 16 milligrams. I'm down to less than half of a 8 milligram one a day, and I'll show you that. But right now, my purse, I will show you what I take so that you guys can see it. There we go. And that is one-third of that, usually a day. One-third of this, usually a day, is what I try to stick with. I can get 2 a day, but because I always get worried if I ever got in an accident, this shit will block out painkillers, and it is hard to push. I was in pain 3 months ago, and luckily they gave me some Dilaudid or whatever, like morphine, and it kicked in, but not as good as I knew it could have, but it helped with the pain, and it did help within 15-20 minutes. Luckily, it wasn't the most severest pain, but it still wasn't the greatest pain, kind of like what I'm dealing with now. And this sucks to have this end when you're looking for a pain pill to work, because this can help you not want to go out in the streets and look for drugs. At least it should for most people, such as myself, and it can do an awesome job and keep you at bay. And that's exactly what it has done for 8 years with me, but I don't want to be quite dependent on it. But I also don't want to be dependent on this either. But I also don't want pain. So we all, if you're like me, we're all struggling with that in our heads. And if you don't lie to yourself, first of all, and I never did, and I was trying to tell the truth, and this is where it got so bad with me and CPS and the state. I was trying to explain to them, I need something for pain. I'm not the biggest drug addict. And I don't want to go out in the street, which they go down like I want on the streets, and it's like, oh my God, that's why people say don't say stuff unless you know, because they're going to mix it up, and they do mix it up, and they mix it terrible, and I got a lot that I have to repair to get it so that not only do my oldest kids understand, my couple of younger ones will understand, because I'm sure they're being told awful stories right now about me, and I don't like that, and it's scary as hell, but that's another story, and I have to deal with the CPS part of my categories that I get into. But if you're honest with pain, such as I always been, I always said I had stomach issues, and I looked for something for it. It helped. I got dependent on it. My doctor moved away. I went to go get to another doctor. They gave it to me for a while. They stopped 8-9 years ago. I didn't know what to do. They scared me with what the withdrawals were. I was naive. I thought they could kill me, since I almost died of a methadone overdose that happened to the place in itself that prescribed methadone, because that was before Suboxone. I lasted there less than 2 days before I almost died from it. Then less than 2 weeks later, I left because I got scared of taking that stuff. And then I heard about Suboxone, but still know what methadone did. I was scared to be on Suboxone, so I'd only take a little piece, and that did the job. It took away from my cravings, and it didn't take away anxiety, but it took away the cravings of me feeling like I was going to get sick and that type of feeling, and it didn't make me want to go out in the streets and look for hydrocodone or anything like that, or look for a doctor or doctor hunting. That's what I meant by anything cravings. And everybody has their own way of describing it. To me, that would be the best way for me to describe it. And that was in about 2008. Then I couldn't afford it no more, so then I had to take a break, hiatus for like 2 years, and then I got fentanyl patches for my leg. And then that doctor moved away, so I had to go back on Suboxone. It took a while, but I found a doctor, and luckily I got on Zevutax. Unfortunately, when you're on Zevutax, they have to tell the state, and I was pregnant, and by that kind of got me into the CPS, and the rest is kind of history, because these people find out that you have children, and then you can look up the corrupt business of Child Protective Services, and from there you'll see the extended part of why you do not tell CPS if you can help it. If you have a drug habit, try to keep it mellow, and try not to keep it so that you tell too many people, because it's almost like they're baby hunting or something. Trust me, just look the corrupt business of Child Protective Services and online from Senator Nancy Schreiber. The 13-minute video she has is awesome, so go watch that. And if you do have a habit, I would try to suggest to go get help, but I'd also suggest to be careful how you get help. But in the meantime, I'll close for now, and we'll see what happens with this.